we go. Back for oh shit, that was too loud. Sorry about that. Great intro. All right, so we're back here with Mark Thomas from Code 9 and Super Seattle's fan. Sorry, in the break we spoke about a few things, but one of the things I wanted to bring up was the transition you were talking about. Obviously not male-female transition. We're talking about getting out of the no, is that too much? We're going to have to edit that one out. Chicken. Yeah, so transitioning out of the police. I mean, it obviously applies to being a fiery or a army or navy or whatever else it is you are, but how you develop we're talking about how you develop an identity, and your identity is you as a such and such.
Yep.
I find it when you go to parties and stuff as well, like any of your friends who rock up, they're like, oh, this is Chris, he's a cop.
Yep.
Or this is Chris, he was in the army.
Yep.
Or whatever else it is. It's like I've never introduced any of my other friends as their job.
Yeah.
So it's not even, I don't even think it's just us that does it with the identity. It's like, oh, my partner's a cop or this and that or whatever. And I find it very strange because I've never done stuff like, oh, this is my mate Sean, he's a postie. Or this is my mate Tim, he's a librarian. You know, I've never had any of them before, but I have introduced people as fireys, or he's a paramedic, or he's an army mate of mine, or whatever it is. So I find it's funny. We do it, civilians do it, and it's I just don't know why it's an identity thing.
Certainly, it's in the public's eyes massive because you look at how many police shows there are on TV and how many military shows there are on TV. So it's and particularly now, you know, there'll be equal as many podcasts and things like that covering our respective industries that we work in, because it's something that the vast majority of the community cannot do. And I look at policing and I actually don't think it's anything special. But that's because I've been doing it for 28 years. I'm used to what I do. But if I look at the army, and I know I put military on a pedestal because I know there is no chance that I'm signing a form and going to Afghanistan when that was going. No chance. Couldn't do it. I've not got that ability to do that. But I've got the ability to be a copper.
You happen to get shot in Footscray, but not in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Is it
Nice
the
and close
airtime?
to
You don't
home.
like the flight? Or
So that to me, it's like I'm more than happy. I'd never introduce a mate. I've got military mates. This is my mate Billy. He's from the ADF. I wouldn't do that. And if we were going somewhere, I'd say, well, what are you doing? What? Pick an industry. What do you want to do? So if someone says, what do they
dolphin
do?
trainer?
Dog trainer. Dolphin trainer.
Yeah.
Yes. This is my mate Billy. He's a dolphin trainer. That's obviously going to create some conversations. So that backstop story might fall down pretty quick.
We had a joke with Jared Gowndry about jobs that we used to make up, because when you're in an army town, they all know your army. So you used to make up jobs. Dolphin trainer was one of them.
Yeah.
It was what was the other ones we had? Like putting stickers on apples. Somebody else was like, I used to punch the holes in the in the pineapple rings. It was like any job that you got that was somebody else used to paint the black lines on the in the pools, but you had to do it when the water was in because it was a special paint and stuff like.
Just having fun with it.
Yeah, it was good to go. But like, if you could get away with it, it was a win.
Yeah. And I understand why people are interested, because it is interesting. Like I'm interested in some members, you know, your deployments to Iraq or Afghanistan, or speak to someone that went to Vietnam, or, you know, from World War II or whatever it is, because I find that interesting. So it's not so much to me I don't want to know if you've killed anyone. I'd never ask that question, but I want to know your mindset. What was it like when you landed there? Those kind of things behind the stories a bit more. But, you know, people are just intrinsically interested in what we do. And
can you watch police movies without losing shit?
I can.
I look like that would not happen.
I'm not allowed to watch them with the family, basically.
Yeah, fair call.
Because my lad started watching The Recruit.
Oh man, the Recruit or the Rookie?
The Rookie.
Yeah, on Netflix.
Yeah.
I'm mad for that. Mate. It's been killing me because now I'm like, God, do I go back?
and I was sitting there going, negative, wouldn't happen.
Mate,
No.
The Rookie is He's the first on. Mate, within the first 6 months, he'd like been in 15 shootouts. He was there with his captain who got murdered and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go, spoilers. Like the cartel are after him.
Yeah.
And it's like he's leading an investigation because they're like, oh, he's so mature. So it's been great to have an elderly person get involved. I was
My mate's just going, just stop it. You cannot watch this.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Fair call. Fair call.
But I do love watching it. There is a lot of stuff in there that is legit.
Yeah.
Which is funny. But it's just like, and I get that he needs to be there because he's the character. But geez, it's funny watching the rookie being first on. Oh, yeah, he's done a lot of careers in the first 6 months.
Yeah. You'll be rising up very quickly.
Yeah. I found military movies kills me. Like you see somebody with their finger on the trigger and you're like, nah.
Yeah, no.
Like you are clearly not. This is fake. I don't believe anything anymore. And it's just such a simple thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now you've just ruined everything.
Yeah.
It's like you're telling a real story, but that didn't happen because I can tell that dude isn't because he's got his finger on the trigger.
Yeah.
I find it weird that that's what I'm looking for in movies as well.
What I've done, I found a show on YouTube that brings in former SEALs and former Delta operators, and they go over a movie.
Yep.
And they say, well, yeah, no, just a solid no.
Yeah.
But then I remember Jack Carr said 13 Hours, the Benghazi.
Oh, yep.
He said that, I like it.
How is the dude from The Office on there? How is he now an action hero? Like, hats off to him because he does it well. It's believable.
Yeah.
But geez, I struggled at the start.
Yeah.
I was just waiting for him to take the piss out of someone or like, wrap someone's furniture up like he was taking the piss out of Dwight again or whatever. But he's done really well to be an action hero. And that was a great movie, that 13 Hours. I loved it.
And that's even better when you get someone like Jack Carr. So give that the tick of approval, basically go, all right, cool. So now I can sit back and go, this is somewhat realistic. The way they've reacted, the way they've done what they've done, how they're handling their weapons and stuff. Okay, cool. Then I can actually relax with that. But then I'll watch some military shows and I'll just go, yeah, see, I've never been in the army. I've never been in a firefight, but that's just complete and utter bullshit.
Mate, what is it? There's the one with Chris Hemsworth and he like, they're like riding horses into like shooting at tanks and stuff. It's something. Yeah. And it's just, it's nuts. It's an Afghanistan war movie.
Yeah, it's the first unit.
I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I know the movie. Like, hang on, mate.
Yeah.
It's a tank.
Yeah, it's like, I stabbed the tank driver through the outside with a knife. Yeah, all right, whatever. But it's funny that you say that, like, because like Jack Carr signed off on it, you were like, okay, I can relax and just enjoy it. It's weird because it'd be the same movie if you didn't, but you've just gone into it with a different perception.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting when I go to certain things with Invictus now, and the first thing, people don't care what your qualifications are. They'll be like, oh, where were you? Like, where'd you serve? And it's like, if I didn't have a unit or whatever else it is, it's like, do I not have the right to have an opinion? Or, and I think other people have said that, like they went to like leadership courses, for example. And, they're like, well, what have you led? What teams have you led? Or whatever else it is. Like, you're a coach on leadership, but run me through a team that you've led.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I've got 4 degrees in it. And he's like, yeah, so you've actually never led a team.
Yeah.
And it's like, does it cheapen their knowledge on it? They might be the most experienced, like the most knowledgeable person on leadership.
Knowledgeable is the key word there.
Same as like personal trainers. You'll go in, you're like, I want to get jacked. There might be a dude over there who's run ultra marathons, so he's not a big dude, but he's got all the degrees in, physiological science and stuff. But you're like, I'm going to go over to old mate because he's already benching 200. Yeah. It's like, but he might be an absolute idiot just on steroids, but I'm still going there because he's a big dude.
Yeah.
It's a weird setup that we look at like that.
But like you can learn everything in the world in a book. How are you going to react to it when the situation's actually happening?
Yeah.
So when you find yourself in the middle of a critical incident, is your leader going to sit there and lead and get stuff under control and get what is a nasty situation settled, or are they going to contribute to the critical incident and make it worse? And that's then someone else has got to step up. So they might have all the theory on how to lead, but once I think it was Eric Banner in Down. As soon as that bullet flies, politics goes out the window.
Yeah, Mike Tyson with everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think what's his name? Oh, I like that Jack Carr was in Terminal List as well.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I was like, when I saw him, I'm like, hang on a minute, that's that.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, look, it
Didn't
just
last
showed
long, but
yeah,
it's in
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. But it's just funny because it's like a cameo. He was like our Stan Lee from Marvel. How like the fact that he turns up in the movie, you're like, oh wow,
There he is.
yeah. But yeah, that's interesting times. So sorry, back to the whole transition out thing because what were we talking about? Identities, yeah. Like when is there a time when because you were saying before you want to retire at 60?
Yep.
But you've got that end date in mind, and you're like, well, I know that'll be the last day, so I need to develop my new identity before that date because otherwise I'm going to be without purpose and be like every other statistic that's just like, what have I done? Who am I now?
So I've spent probably the last 5 years transitioning out of Victoria Police, even though I'm still working, and all things being equal, I'll have another 8 years in my career. So end up doing maybe 36 or so all up.
I think it's we need to sort of establish when you say transitioning out. It's like I'm not switching off from the job,
No,
but I am switching off after 4 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah, and that's I've seen so many members now leave both first responder agencies and also the military. Typically, ill health retired or medically retired in a physical capacity, and they're lost. They don't know what to do. And I first really started honing in on that about 5 years ago, and I thought, okay, I need to, because I sort of had a look and I've gone, yeah, my identity is mostly, it wasn't wholly tied to policing, but it mostly was tied to policing. So, all right, I need to change this around. And not for a second have I dropped work. I love work. Like I've got a great job. I love my job. It's brilliant. But equally, when I leave at 4 o'clock, I'm gone. I leave. Like I'm on call at the moment. That's fine. The phone's sitting there next to me, and if it goes off, it goes off. Probably won't. But
I know. I was doing it for the content.
Yeah.
You're not even going to get a call. I mean, you did say it's been 7 years, but I was like, today's the day.
And I actually brought my laptop home this weekend because I'm on call.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. So if I'm not on call, the laptop's at work. When I leave work, I leave work. That's what I'll do when I get back there.
Having the laptop at home, are you thinking about checking it now?
No.
Okay.
No. Because the very fact of the last 5 years, I've steered myself away from it. Like if I was to get something, if someone was to message me or ring and say, hey, can you quickly check this for me? And it was something legitimately that had to be done now, I got no problem. I'll jump on, have a quick look. Yep, we're good with that. Sweet, happy days. But if it's checking the roster for next week, no, I'm not logging on at all.
Yeah. So I found there's been a lot of good developments technology-wise, like the phones and stuff now, but the fact that everybody has a phone is interesting to me because the fact that they can take it home.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wouldn't take it home because I'm paranoid that everyone's following me all the time. Yeah. But it's like, I don't need them doing that. Oh, they've turned that on. They're listening to me talk at my house and stuff. Like that's obviously another issue. But, but the thing is, if I heard it go off, I'd be like, I've got to check what's going on.
Yeah.
Like there's an email or there's this or there's that. And like even as it is, like last night, for example, I drove home, there was one of the boys had pulled someone over and the red and blue flashing lights were on, but it was like in a dark area. There was no one else around. And I'm like, I'm doing a Yui. So I went back and did a drive past. And it's funny because I was driving past going, well, if they're in a tussle, I'm getting involved. I'm jumping in. But to them, they were probably like, who's this weirdo that's just done a Yui and come back? So that was the other thing that I was thinking of. I'm like, well, now I'm in trouble. But it's funny that even though I've been out for a while now, it's like I'm still concerned about their welfare and I'm driving past to make sure they're okay. But then I'm still looking at it going, well, if I'd seen that would have been strange to me that a car's done a Yui and come back.
Yep.
And at no point would I have thought that's an ex-member who's making sure I'm okay.
Sure I'm all right.
That is not on the list of my that wouldn't have been on my bingo card of things that were happening. But yeah, there's not a chance if I'd had a phone that I wouldn't be checking my emails or seeing if I needed to do something or whatever else it is. It's like, well, I'm still not going to do it until tomorrow.
Yeah.
But why do I need to know now? And if you have that phone too, if somebody rings it, I'm like, I've got to answer because they're doing, even though I'm not on, I can't actually help. I'd have to go in, get up, to come out. But yeah, it's interesting.
It's that mindset, and like during the week, the only time my phone is on, not on silent, so it's active and making noises, is when I'm on call. When I'm not on call, it's on silent.
Yep.
And then, if someone wants to really speak to me, they'll leave a message.
Yep.
I'll get back to them. Or like if the phone rings and it's unknown number, I'm not touching it.
Yeah.
Leave a message.
Yep.
And then I'll scan it. And then
it's annoying because that used to be safe, a private number. It meant like I was like, oh yeah, it's just work.
Yeah.
And then or before that, you were like, oh, all the spam callers are ringing on private number. Now they've got bloody mobile numbers.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, who's that?
Yeah.
I'm ringing
This
spam.
is Amazon.
Yeah, I'm ringing callers back now because I'm like, oh, that's weird. I don't have that number. I'm going to ring them back, and they're like, yes, this is from here, from such and such. I'm like, oh, I can't believe I'm ringing a prank caller. Like, they've tricked me that well that I'm now ringing them.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
So it's just creating that separation. It's really important. Like that's never going to stop with us though. And like, your defence, your military, your first responder, you are always going to have that protective streak in you. You could be your mid-90s walking down the road with your walking zipper and you'll say, I'll just hang around. It will still be there.
I'll have a cane with a sword in it. Like those, how they used to pull them out. Like, get out of here, whippersnappers.
That's it. Well, that's why we join. The vast majority of people join the military and join first responder agencies is they want to help people and they want to protect people and things like that. So it's built within us. So, and then even when you're out, you don't hand that in with your uniform when you give it back. It's always going to be within you.
It's funny. I was listening to an audio book about like just a breakup or something, and they were talking about one of the things they brought up was like how elephants deal with losing a member because they're obviously massive. You don't bury them and that sort of stuff, but their carcasses are there. And then they were talking about how the elephants come past and they scatter all their bones for them. Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like they go through depression and that sort of stuff. But I think they were saying that it was their way of not seeing it as like the carcass is like that's their friend anymore. And then they scatter it. So it's almost like how we spread the ashes and that sort of thing. But obviously they can't do that. But it was that like the breakup isn't just one goodbye. It's like 1,000 goodbyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like every time that something happens, you're like, oh, that was when I did this or that. Yeah. Like anytime I see a red and blue flashing light and I want to turn around.
Yeah.
It's like I hadn't done that for a while. And then I was like, oh, I just got a weird sense that the workplace it is, I'm going to go back and check.
Yeah.
It's like, but I hadn't done that for a while and I hadn't felt that for ages. And then for some reason last night I was like, oh, I've got to go back and do it. But then it's like, no, they're all right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and realistically, what would I have done?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, but it's like, it's just another goodbye. I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like, everyone's fine. I don't need to be there. They didn't even know I was there, and they probably thought I was a crook. Like that's how far off I am now. Because even if you go back to a workplace, most of the people that you were there with within 2 years aren't there anymore.
Yeah, they're gone.
And it's just another thing where you don't feel that affiliation to the place anymore.
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't cheapen your memories. It's just that it's what you're missing is not what it is anymore anyway. Like, what are they saying? That thing where the same man never walks through the same river twice. It's like because you're not the same person and it's not the same water.
Yeah.
And I think, but it's interesting to see like you've got to say goodbye to things as it is. And I think if you can do that whilst you're in the office, then by the time you've got out, you've already done all the work, as opposed to then going, well, I'm retired now, and I've literally got to spend the first 5 years trying to say goodbye to stuff.
What I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But like I saw a post a while back, and this person's last day in Victoria Police after 42 years or whatever, and this is all I got. And I sort of sat back and I've gone, you got paid, you got 9 weeks leave, you got an excellent superannuation scheme.
I miss 9 weeks leave. Oh. And night shift into days off and 9 weeks leave.
Like you would have done a lot of personal jobs probably.
Mm.
You've been able to, I need to do an afternoon shift tomorrow because I need to drop my kids at school. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
You've had a lot of stuff go your way, but essentially what it boils down to, you did a job and you got paid for it. Like what were you expecting? the air wing to fly over and the pipe band to come along. Like,
well, you can't get air wing, so that wasn't something else.
I kind of get why people like that. And marvellous career, well done, awesome work to the community. But, and this is where I've removed my identity so much from that now. When I walk out, and the crew at work were talking about it, no lunches, nothing. So I might have pizza Friday, which we do. We have pizzas on Friday. It's great. Pizza Friday, that's it. No speeches, no nothing. I'm just walking out because this is a part of my life that I did for X amount of years. It's time to go. I don't need to be sent off. So it'll be interesting.
It's, I find when when I left, people didn't even believe me because it was April 1st. I was like, hey guys, I quit. And they're like, yeah, sure, mate.
Yeah, right.
Like some of them hit me up 2 weeks later and they're like, you're not on the roster anymore. I'm like, yes, mate, I told you I quit.
Like, it was April Fools.
Yeah. So my send-off was just a joke basically because I was like, see you. And they were like, yeah, sure. And then that was it. Didn't work there anymore. But when I left the army, it was different. Like they have a send-off and stuff. But it's a weird thing because it's almost like a eulogy where people like come up and speak to you and then we literally go through everything you remember and all the good times and this and that. It's like, mate, we're still going to be mates.
Yeah.
And
it's doing something different.
But the thing is, you're not the same mates anymore. Like like I go back now to a work function, for example, and I'll say good day to them or whatever, and they'll be like, mate, they're like, oh, you're not even a cop anymore. I'm like, am I the same dude that went to a job that, like I stopped some dude stabbing you, or are we different people now? And the army's interesting because those I'll ring those dudes and it's almost, I don't know if it's healthy or not, but it's like we're still the same dudes. Army's like it's a brotherhood for life, whereas policing, I found I left and that was it. You were done, out of sight, out of mind.
I don't like that.
And the people I spoke to, there's still some people in the police, obviously, I still speak to, but not anywhere near as many as I thought I was going to. And I actually found myself referring back to army mates, ringing up and seeing how they were going. Yeah, so it was an interesting sort of thing to me, but you do get looked after a lot of the time in police. Like your ability to go, oh, mate, this has happened. I've got to duck out and do whatever, or this and that, especially as detectives because they never at work. But so, yeah, we'll get it on a Shade podcast later on. But yeah, like there is definitely a lot of positives about policing.
Yeah, massive.
And like they say work-life balance. I don't know that there's a great work-life balance, but there is a lot of flexibility in the way things happen, and there is a lot of stuff that you get looked after because, and I think that comes with the fact that everyone like goes, you are going to go through some real shit stuff. So they sort of give you a bit of tolerance in other areas and they look after you with certain other things. Yeah. So there is definitely good give and take, but
and it can be a great career, but you just got to look after yourself. Like my lad, just out of nowhere, I'm thinking about joining the police.
How'd that go for you?
First thought was, righto, mate, do you want to go through what I went through?
Would you be more offended if your daughter came back and said, I want to go into OnlyFans, or your son said they wanted to join the police? Because one makes a lot more money.
Yes.
And the work-life balance is great.
Well, OnlyFans was originally built not for the porn industry.
Who was that for?
I was listening to Nick Kyrgios interview with, who's the bloke that started the banking?
This is Mark Boris.
Yeah, Mark Boris.
Yeah, he's coming on our podcast.
But because Kyrgios is on OnlyFans.
Oh, yeah?
But he's on there for like tennis stuff. And like it was actually built for that, but then it just got completely hijacked by the porn industry.
Yeah.
So.
Patreon does a good job at the moment. I watched a thing on YouTube the other day about what he's expanded into, but yeah, he's doing really well. You should have an anxiety OnlyFans.
It'd be funny, wouldn't it?
Well, anytime you get anxiety, you're in your jocks anyway. So it's you can just jump in. You're like, oh, he's having an anxiety attack. Jump on his OnlyFans.
Clear sign.
Yeah. Don't just jump in and start talking out like you've been here the whole time.
I have been.
We've got a new guest, Al Morris. Welcome back. He's missed one.
You've been doing your thing well, man.
Sorry, mate. What did you have?
Oh, no, it was an OnlyFans thing. They tried to walk back the graphic content and it got repelled against. So they were too far down that road.
Oh, mate, if you're making that much cash to then just go.
Yeah, not happening.
It's like if the cartel went, you know what, we're going to go straight. Let's just do transport. Let's not transport drugs. And they'd be like, yeah, no, that's not. This isn't all that fun. Yeah.
So like even if the lad said, yeah, I'm going to go through it, all right, cool. It comes on this proviso. Well, I mean, he's an adult. He can make his own decisions, but just look after yourself. Be aware, have mental health literacy, understand your feelings, understand when things don't vibe. And like people go, how do you know when you're affected a bit more by something? And I said, you will know because I knew that day. Oh, this is different. I didn't like that.
Yeah, but I think the problem with that is it's like if it gets to that point, it's already
starting to take a toll.
Yeah.
But make use of the resources that are available and things like that. You can remain healthy, mentally healthy.
I mean, and one of those things is obviously outside the locker room.
Yeah.
Just a brutal straight segue into those guys. But look, I've met Tim Cook and what's the other bloke's name? Todd, that's the one. He Todd's the footy man, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's
both of them mad footy players.
Those two blokes have been great. And when I met them, it was actually a Vic Pol thing.
Yep.
Which is awkward because one of the girls there, I used to work on the van. She was a senior sergeant, and I was like, I'd left as a senior cotty, and I was like, one of us was better than the other. But I really love the fact that she's trying to bring that in.
Yeah.
But they had some really interesting stats. Like they were saying that like 96% of coppers or something would not speak to a work psych because they're like, I'm going to lose my job. Yeah. I'm like, that's not a healthy thing.
No. The sheer belief in some, when I say some, a reasonable percentage is that if you go see a psych, they are going to basically send a report to your boss. No, they're not allowed to. They don't. So, but it's hard to get away from that thought process. Like there's people peddling that.
There is outside. You can go and speak to your own person.
Yep.
As well. Like what is it? You get like 6 or something.
You get 6, but you'll get more.
Yep.
And that's
especially when you tick all the boxes.
Yeah. Hey. That is I.
Yeah.
But mine was supplied because I was sitting in hospital because I ticked every box.
Yeah.
Don't be me. But this is what I talk about when I'm present. I don't care who you talk to. You got to talk to someone. And even if you don't go through Victoria Police, if you don't go through TPAV, our association, or the EAPs for Ambulance Victoria or FRV or whoever, just go see your GP, get a mental health plan and get your own local psych.
Yep.
You got to speak to someone because you can't – it's not like a hamstring strain that's going to fix itself over the course of a few weeks. You can't run away from mental health injuries. So
this isn't just for us either though. Like there's like farmers, there's heaps of farmers going through that.
What a brutal job.
Yeah.
Massive respect.
I mean, they do have upsides. Like their job is manic depressive.
Oh,
like, the rain's good. Oh, no, we've got too much rain. Oh, it's still raining.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, everything's grown so really well. This is awesome. And you're like, oh, great. Now the locusts are here.
Yeah.
You know?
Like everything's got something to counter it.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, we've had so much growth. And you're like, oh, it's summer, lightning. Oh, bushfires. Great. Now I've lost everything. Like it's just.
One thing after another.
Yeah. And just imagine like, you're like, am I going to have a good day today? And you're looking at the weather. You're like, I've had 3 days rain and I haven't had it for ages. And I'm like, if it stops now and we get sun, I'm going to make millions.
Yeah.
And then you see the clouds going like, oh, I'm going to be broke. Yeah. That's crazy.
I don't know how you could live like that. That's a massive respect for them. But, yeah, like what I was talking about there is, all about sort of the first responder agencies and stuff. Yeah. But, like, just general members of the community. Yeah. I mean, you can remain healthy. Not everyone. Some people are just going to be predispositioned to suffer. That's humans. But, you give yourself the best chance with some pretty real, well, again, I find simple things. I understand that other people don't find that so simple and like speaking about it, going to see a psych, speaking to the GP, etc.
I feel like yours is almost like like when they spoke to you, it was like ripping the Band-Aid off. You went, you know what, I'm in. What do you need from me? Yeah. And then you were just like, well, I was just pretending this whole time anyway. So now that it's out there.
My first psych, she third, fourth day, I'm sitting in hospital. Life sort of collapsed a fair bit, and I'm yapping away. And then I stop, and she goes, "Geez, you're strange." precisely what you want to hear when you're locked up in a psych clinic.
Yeah.
And she followed it up with saying, I mean that in a really good way. So she goes, so many people sit in that seat and don't talk. She said, I seriously cannot get you to shut up. And she goes, that is a very good thing. And I actually learnt that early, that the more I talk, the better I feel. And when you are feeling utterly crap, and like what I was talking about before, when you're in such deep mental pain and don't want to live, and you talk, there's a little bit of hope there. And then I feel a little bit better. And then, okay, because that, you come out from a psych session with her and actually you noticeably feel better. All right, well, there's something in this. So I haven't stopped talking since.
Yeah, but now you're a keynote speaker and everything. Do you do, are you doing speaking in your own time and stuff like that?
Yeah, when it comes up, yep. I mean, it'd be good, and it's another evolution of me. I do have a speaking business registered, but it was probably more a couple of years ago when I started. It was probably more to keep me, okay, the foundation's going really good. Everything's all set up, structured, cool. That's work. I need something to channel some energy. So, I'll do a website and a Facebook page and Insta and do all that. And that's all going like, it's all right. It's not super duper. It's on a Google Sites website. That's all it needs. Put up stuff. Like a Facebook page just to sort of push mental health messages out and cool shit out that I think's good. But then that evolution of me, okay, I actually now want to start pushing that make that into an income stream, which is, again, it's a challenge. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. But it's a challenge that I can take on and go, okay, I've now got to push my boundaries more and put myself out there more with the chance, and I'll get slapped by a few people, not physically, but some people will jump on social media like they did a couple of weeks ago and claim I'm creating, I don't know, I can't remember, not a dictatorship or something, but I'm like, yeah, right, mate, whatever. Again, I don't like saying tall poppy syndrome because that feels like I'm putting myself on a pedestal, which I don't think I am. But it's that, if I can create another income stream, that'd be really cool. So that means I've succeeded at something. But if I don't, I still think I'm succeeding because I'm pushing towards that and I'm putting myself out there, which then, the imposter comes in and goes, you are kidding yourself, mate. I wouldn't pay $5.99 for you on sale.
Yep.
But
I think tall poppy and imposter goes very hand in hand because you've got the tall poppy part is other people who are, like telling you stuff that is already the voices in your head. But that's because they feel inadequate maybe. That they're like, well, why? Like we used to be doing the same job. So, for example, even just that when I was talking about outside the locker room, me going there and meeting a girl that I used to work with on the van, and now she's a boss and I had left it as whatever else it is, I dare say she didn't care. Like at no point would it have come into her head. But as soon as I saw the rank on there, I'm like, well, why is she so much better than me?
Yeah.
Like that's where the tall poppy thing comes in. It's like, it wasn't her issue.
Yeah.
It was like, it was me going, well, we were in the same gig or whatever else it is. But I just made different choices. Yeah. Like if I look at it, I told people I didn't want to do upgrading. So realistically, for me to sit there and go, why wasn't I interested? I'm like, well, it's because I said I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
It was the main thing. But the first thing I thought was like, well, why is she so much better than me?
Yeah.
And it's funny because that's, no doubt that's what other people think. They're like, well, hang on a minute. We used to just be mates and ride bikes together. How's this guy now think he's able to do whatever else it is?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's the same dude. And he's just doing stuff. And it's like, instead of going, hey, that's great, I hope he does really well, you get that imposter thing of like, oh, I'm not good enough. And if he's doing better, it's like, who does he think he is to be doing that? And it's a weird vibe because you don't get anything out of trying to pull someone else back.
No.
That's what weirds me out about it. Is it's and that was something I went through on. I mean, I don't know that I actually told anybody not to do stuff, but like people get weird about it when you hear someone does well. So like SJ, for example, writes books, and it's like I'm like I wanted to do better and do really well with the books, or like your foundation. It's like for me to shit can your foundation, there's nothing for me.
Yeah.
So it's like why would I do it? Yeah. Or like me to say, SJ, you should never be an author. Like that makes no sense to me at all. Because even if I don't care what her books are about, why would I be?
Yeah, why would you shit can it?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. And like, on one hand, I get it because humans, to me, are the most flawed creature on earth.
Yep.
We can be the best, we can be the worst, and everything in between. But on the other hand, I don't get it for exactly why you just said. Why wouldn't you try and help people? I don't understand. Like, I was having a chat to a bloke the other night. He's trying to get a not-for-profit up and running in Geelong, mental health base for men. And he goes, we had a crack and it got knocked back. I said, well, what do you mean it got knocked back? The ACNC, the Australian Charities Not-for-Profit Commission, said no. And he goes, I think we went through them. Well, yes, mate, you got to go through them because they hold the information.
Yeah.
So I just said, look, and I kind of got the feeling that from what he said, he had some people who said they talked up a big game. We're going to come in and try and help him, and they haven't done very well.
Yeah.
So I just said, mate, jump on the ACNC website, all right? Everything you need is on that website. It's brilliant. They've got all your templates, all your drafts. You just change the names, fill in the blanks, and you'll be right, all right? Oh, yeah, cool, make a note of that. Right now, who are you getting on your committee? You've got to be really careful because you'll have people who want to come on that are commonly known as board collectors. They're on 15,000 different committees. They contribute nothing, but they get to put on their resume, I'm on the committee.
Yep.
But what do you do? So I only get the people on there that you know are going to go to work. Excuse me. You'll get stung a couple of times where people will say they will want to do stuff, but they don't.
Yep.
And then you got to try and get them to step aside kind of thing. And some other, like, I want to help him.
Yep.
Because if he gets this up and running and it turns into a good product, he could be saving a couple of blokes' lives down Geelong Way.
Yeah.
And isn't that a great thing?
Yeah, and even if you don't like what someone's doing, like, because you're like, oh, what do you? I just don't know why you need to bring up, if somebody's like, oh, you know what, I want to get into painting, and I'll look at it and I'm like, that shit.
Why would you want to do that?
But it's even if I look at their art and I'm like, yeah, that's shit. It's like, who am I? For starters, who am I to judge it? Because I'm not an artist. But it's like, why would I then go, mate? I don't think you're good for this. It's like, why? I get really confused. And the internet's funny to me because, and I find it funny when people get offended by stuff that's online from a stranger, but I get where they're coming from. It's like, well, this guy's gone out of his way to say something mean to me. I'm like, yeah, but did you ask him what you want for lunch? Like, when did you ask for his opinion? And why do you care that some random person that you've never met before in your life, who's obviously having a shit enough day, that they want to try and bring some random person on the internet down? Like, why do you listen to what they have to say? And
99% of those people wouldn't say it to your face.
Oh, definitely not.
So why would you let that bother you?
Yeah. In fact, I'd be impressed if someone came up to you and they're like, hey, mate, that podcast you did the other day, you're full of shit. I'd be like, okay, do you want to come on?
Yeah.
Because I'm welcome to hear that.
It would be, wouldn't it? Okay.
I'd love that.
I can learn from you. So what was shit about it? What didn't you like?
Yeah.
Was there something that you liked?
Yeah. Yeah. And the difference between like, that was shit. And I'm like, yeah, okay, run me through that. Like which part? And then they're like, no, I just don't like anything that you do. I'm like, all right, well, you just don't like me. I was like, and that's fine too. You're welcome to do that. But sometimes if somebody does say something negative, there's a chance to learn out of that. And then you find really quick, pretty soon after that they actually hate themselves and they're just trying. They just put that out on
pushing out there.
Yeah, it might have been 45 other people they just had to go at that day, and you're just one of them. Yeah, it's a weird sort of vibe. So on that, what are you doing next then? If you're getting to speaking, you're doing this and doing that.
Well, I got introduced to Todd from outside the locker room a while back through a bloke I used to work with who knows him really well, and so I went along. No, I was giving a talk down Southern Region Peer Support Network. We're having a chat, so I went down, gave them a chat about my journey and some, they said when I present, I give them the overview of my journey, but how I got out of that, give that hope, and this is where they can feed that onto other people that are struggling. And the boys were there, Tim and Todd, and then Southern Region, Victoria Police Southern Metro Region had 6 forums, so I missed the first one. So I've done the second, the third, fourth's on Tuesday. They're all purely male, which is good. And then there's another 3 female, I believe, for later on in the year. So we've actually segregated.
Are Tim and Todd going to do the female one as well?
I believe so, yeah. Like the way they present, like the first one, I got a little bit more involved, the second one. The first one I just sat back and watched. It's just a really good product.
I love how Todd is.
But they're just so believable. And, you know, we'll fangirl again, bring Maddie back in. But to me, they're not dissimilar because they're just down-to-earth blokes delivering a good product and are very believable. Like
I like that Todd, he opened up about how he lost his friend.
Oh, and just sets it up right from the word.
Yeah, just like straight up. But then also the feelings that he had. Yeah. And a lot of things, you know, when people are like, I hated him for doing something, or I was angry at him, or I was this, or I was that, and then I was angry at me for like, well, how did I let my friend die? And like just a lot of the raw stuff that he brought up, and he just did it straight away. And it's a bunch of stuff that people would feel that just wouldn't feel that they were okay with saying it because of, you know, like somebody's gone. And then to turn around and go, you know, like, no, that's bullshit. I can't believe you did this to me and rah, rah, rah. It's obviously it's a feeling that people go through. Yeah. And to be like, you know, and even just when like he was speaking the day I was there, and he goes, look, today's a good day. He goes, I miss him. You know, I remember the good times we do this, do that. And he goes, but other times I'll be on my own and I'm having a shit one, and that amplifies it. You know, that old mate's done that. But I just love that it's just straight up. Yeah. And then it set the tone, went early. Like you just went hard in the paint early, basically.
Yeah. Bang. So he come into the VPC and just to meet and have a bit of a chat, and you know, we went, sat down, and geez, within a couple of minutes, we are on the same wavelength with so many different things. So I'm thinking, this is cool. So it's been really good to the last couple of forums to be involved with it. So next one on Tuesday, I'll get a little bit more involved, and then probably do some work for outside the locker room with regional footy clubs and things like that as well. Maybe. Well, I'll speak to Todd about that, but. You know, they got another bloke, Jax, who comes up from Geelong's youth worker, just a great bloke. Again, down to earth, chilled, great message. I love how they present too. Yeah. Like they don't come across as all high and mighty and hold all this. They're just down to earth blokes.
I find it's one of those things like we were talking about before with like dumbing stuff down to layman's terms. Yeah. You know, because you get psychologists and stuff and they're like, oh, you know, there's a window of tolerance and we need to do this and do that. And your serotonin levels are this and that. You know, whereas they'll be like, you're having a shit one.
Yeah. And you're like, that's when it boils down to it.
Yeah. And everyone's on the same page when they're just like, oh, yeah, no, I've done that before.
But they get the crowd to do the work.
Yeah, and it's funny too
they
because...
just point the crew in the right direction. They say, right, I need you to do this now. And I've been intensely watching because, you know, speaking to a room full of male coppers about mental health, traditionally, not easy. But I'm going, looking around, everyone's into this. Yep. This is cool. The feedback's been really good. So it's a good thing. Hopefully, once all the southern metros are done, hopefully north, east and west actually get on board as well. And
did you go to that one when Gil Martin came out?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah. I was a big fan of that. I still can remember the circle where you're in the middle and all your circles around the outside are all fishing, camping, kids, dog, sport, cooking, all these little hobbies you got going on. And then as the years go by, you start dropping all this and the only thing is left policing. Yep. And that's probably around the time I started going, okay, I need to start getting that back in.
The magic chair one was my massive thing. When he's like, you come home, you sit down and you shut up and you sit in your chair, and he goes, and you feel like you're going to pass out. And then it's like 6 hours later, and I was like, yep.
Gotcha.
I even moved on the couch to sit somewhere else, and it felt different because it was like it wasn't worn. You know,
and all these things we do.
Yeah.
So, and I love, you know, like Todd, Tim, Jax, what they go on about. Do something you like doing. Do something that makes you happy. How simple.
Yeah. It's funny though because then when you ask people what makes them happy, it's
work.
Yeah. They're like, oh, when I've finished a brief or when I've done this or done that or whatever it is. Or it's like, you know, like, oh, we work so many weekends. They get a weekend off. You're like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm probably going to do some washing, catch up on some admin.
Actually, might just drop into the office and catch up.
Yeah.
No.
Yes. That's so depressing when people are like, oh, I've got this thing due. I might go in on Sunday and do whatever.
Yeah, So do something that makes you happy. So I now think what brings me joy and music. I love music. I'm a massive sook for cold water, like epic level sook. So I got my wife to get me a cold water immersion tub for my birthday, which is in mid-June. So I get in.
Goggins told you to do something hard every day?
Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Get uncomfortable. Stay hard.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Again, evolution of me.
Yep.
So, and I've still got my L plates on. I can get up to about upper chest pretty easy now.
Yep.
It sucks. Yes, it's cold. But I sit there with my headphones on, a couple of good songs. I'll always change up. It could be one day near opera music and the next metal would be Slipknot, like thrash metal kind of thing. But I just sit in that. And I'm actually finding joy in doing that because it's uncomfortable. I know it's good for me, but it's joy, happy. And it's healthy.
Speaking of happy, you were saying Seattle's your happy place.
Yeah.
And obviously on your Insta that I've had a look at, it's every third post you're in a hat or a T-shirt, and you've turned up today in a Seattle T-shirt.
Yeah, Seattle T-shirt.
Is that like a safety blanket for you or something?
Pretty much.
You're like, I don't take the Seattle shirt off and get into my jocks because I don't get anxiety.
No. I should get some Seattle jocks. Yeah. I got two really distinct happy places. One's Seattle, one's Nepal. And they're just the personal, me only places. I've got other places, Disneyland with the family and other places with family and things. But for me personally, just I follow Seattle Seahawks in the NFL and went and watched a game. It was literally 0 degrees. It started snowing a little bit. Seattle won, and it was everything I thought it was going to be. It was just a brilliant night. Had a great time in Seattle. And then the other one in Nepal, I went on the Annapurna circuit in 2012, undiagnosed, and it didn't end up too good for me. So I had a massive anxiety attack. Got back, and this is how I look back, and I just shake my head and go, "Yeah, good on you, Dave." I'm going to book in to see a psych when I get home. Got home, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow. Next time I saw a psych, I was in hospital a few months later. So, and Nepal held some fairly significant demons because of what happened. But speaking to Tristan, who I mentioned earlier on, because he started Blind Tiger Yoga, which was utterly brilliant. It was the first time I tried yoga. So he taught me, meditation, mindfulness, and how to breathe. He taught me how to breathe, which is people look at you and go, "What do you mean? You've been breathing since you were born." No. Do you know how to breathe? To lower yourself down when you're anxiety. So we're having a bit of a chat, and he said, "Yeah, you need to go back to Nepal and you need to finish that." All right, yeah. And okay, yep, no, I trust you. You got something there. So I went back in 2019 and got over the Annapurna circuit, finished it. So went over Thorong La, which is 5,500 metres, and just a tough mentally last few days, pretty hard physically when you're above sort of 4,000, 4,500. It gets a little bit, the air gets a little bit thin.
Yep.
But certainly mentally, a couple of really challenging days, and to get over that, they're just happy places. So I, if I'm struggling or if I can't get to sleep, I'll go back and I'll replay Seattle, and inevitably, most of the times it'll put me asleep because it is a happy place.
Nice. Have you seen that game online?
Yeah. Do
you watch it?
I watched it a few times.
Oh, really? Yeah, good.
Yeah. And it was, there's a couple of different things that happened throughout the night that made it, it wasn't like it was a standard football game, but, one bloke got knocked out and Tyler Lockett broke his leg, and John Ryan went for a run when he's a punter when he shouldn't do that, and he got knocked out and sort of thing. But I remember standing, and I was pretty much the last person, like security kicked me out. It's time to go, mate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, mate, I'm not from here. Can I stay a bit longer?" It's already been like 45 minutes or something. No, we're closing up the stadium. Oh, okay. No, I just understand. So, just the whole part of it. It was like I started following them in 2013 when an Aussie was drafted there, Jesse Williams. And I'd always sort of followed the NFL, and I loosely followed New York because New York's a great place, one of my favourite places I've been to. But then when Jesse got drafted to Seattle, I thought, all right, I'm on the Seahawks. So going through all those difficult times, there were times when I'd be really struggling when I was returning to work, but I'd put the NFL on my phone. I'd just jump on the treadmill and run and just concentrate on the NFL, just watching sport. And that would get me enough juice to be able to go to work that day. Just returning to work, it's tough, it's difficult, just to get through it. So
it's we had a bloke at work who one of his things for mindfulness was an apple. He always had an apple.
Yep.
And it's like, he's right, I want you to eat the apple, I want you to focus on it. And I was just like, what a space cadet. but it's like, it's funny because it's not about the apple. It's about ignoring everything else that's going on in your life. And it's so other people, some people it's a fidget spinner, some people it's one of those dogs or whatever it is. But the dog's different because it comes to you when you're not. Like if you can go eat an apple, like you're in a place where at least you can identify issues when you're like, oh, I'm starting to spin out a bit here.
Yep. I know, chill.
Yeah. But it was funny though because you'd rock up and if you're on a morning shift and then it's like, we've been there since 7 and 7:45 he's eating an apple, you're like, oh shit.
Long day. Long day ahead.
This is going to be a big one. But that was amusing times. Or it was like a shit apple. One of those chalky ones or powdery ones or whatever. He's like, nah.
That now I'm more angry. Eating, it's something you got to have something that you actually like.
Yep.
So give me a good crunchy pink lady. But give me a soft apple. Nah.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, and you can't tell when one's going to be one of those powdery ones. And like he'd have it, and then you'd be like, "Oh Jesus, we're like hand your gear in
quick,
today."
Someone go to the fruit shop. Get some more apples.
That was good times. You got anything for us, Al? Or you?
Yeah, I want to circle back to a question about balance. So, you return to work and you've stayed long term, and it's really common amongst our colleagues now, and personally I've returned multiple times and I haven't been able to stick it out. So I wondered if, and no doubt there's ups and downs on a daily basis, but is there anything overriding, like what's helped you stick it out? And if someone's in that position, what can they focus on?
Well, it's a big part of Imposter for me because I've got mates that won't work again in any capacity. We've both got the same diagnosis. What makes me? How come I? Then I go, well, you're full of shit, and what happened to you was all just an act, and it didn't happen. And I go, well, hang on, dude.
All right. Oh, this is where we're comparing traumas, isn't it? Yeah, right. Gotcha.
And it's like I quickly correct myself with that, but it's a difficult question because for me, a couple of Mondays ago, I was in the gym, so I got a routine. I'll either ride or run to work. It's only like 9K, so it's pretty good. And I sit in the gym and I'll stretch or I'll do some mindfulness or meditate, which I should do more of, but I don't, and listen to some music and whatever. But this particular morning, I'm sitting there going, oh, it's a bad day. It's a bad day. All right, do I go home? Do I stay? And I sat there and I went to my locker and I thought, have a shower. Let's just work through this. And I just leant my head against the locker for 15 minutes trying to decide what to do. And then, the easiest thing, now I just go, get in the shower, see how you go, have a shave just in case you're good, get dressed, start walking towards work, and if you just crumble, turn around, go home. I've got no problem taking a day off if I'm no good. But then I thought, work through it bit by bit. Because then my mind went through, Jesus, if I feel like this, it's going to be a long day, and then at 1 o'clock I'm going to be tired, but then it's 2 o'clock, and then I've got to be at 4 o'clock. That's 8.5 hours. Whoa. let's just worry about the next 5 minutes in front of us, and then we'll move on from that. And then had a shower, cool. Got back, yep, cool, no worries. Let's go to work. Just sit down. Just get to the computer and sit down, or get to the office. Sit down, cool, log on. Emails, we don't get a whole lot, so not much there, cool. Get your brekkie, and it's just simply breaking down little bits at a time. It was a bad day for me now, but if I was that mood 8 years ago, that's a great day. So it's your mood levels and where you're through. And I've been through this enough times to realise just to break it down. Don't think ahead 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. That'll happen when that happens. So, and then I got there, had me brekkie, went and washed the dishes, got me green tea, logged onto the other computer because we work on a standalone, and just started working. And then as the day went by, we had the music going, a couple of good songs come on, and I just relaxed into it. So, but I know when I've got like that, I've got to make a decision whether I can stay here or go. But there's been days in the past where I've rolled up at work and I've just gone, yeah, it's a no for me today, because I know I'm not there.
Do you find it can get to a point where you give yourself an out though if you start?
Oh yeah.
Because it makes it easier. I just wonder if each day that you take off, it makes it easier to take another day off.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, everything's too hard now.
Absolutely. And it's, even if I break that down to as small as this cold water immersion tub I've got.
I was going to ask if that's made any difference.
It's very simple. Like I said to Karen, I got home last week, I walked in, how you doing? Just went straight to the room, changed straight back out in. Don't think about it.
Yeah.
For me, Goggins would probably sit there and look at it and think about, I'm going to crush you, stay hard, and do all that. But I know the longer I think about it, the less likely I'm going to get in.
Yep.
So it's just, no, that's good. I'm just going to do it. So I don't give myself to have that opportunity to not do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, give yourself an out. Think of all the reasons why you shouldn't
always
do
getting
something.
an out.
Yeah.
And when I was, I only had about 7 weeks off, 2 of those in hospital, which is, returning to work after that was, it was far too early. Because I'd work for 4 hours and just go home and sleep for the next 10.
Yeah.
Maybe not that long, but I come very obsessed with the work cover ad where the bloke broke his arm, and getting back to work's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay, broken arm, cooked brain, slightly different. But I went into work. I actually picked up a mate. I said, mate, I need you to come with me. I need to see whether I can walk into work. Yeah, mate, absolutely. I'd worked with him previously, pretty good mates. So we drove in and he just followed me up to my office and okay, cool, no worries. And then one of Jen, the VPS3 team leader, she comes and she goes, damn it. I said, what? She goes, I was going to put a sticker of a pink flying pig on your window to make it look like you're seeing things, just straight taking the piss out of me. And I'm like, she knew.
I was going to say, so that was a good or a bad thing?
What I needed. So no cotton wool, straight into me, which was our relationship.
Yeah.
So she kept that normal, which is really good.
Yeah.
So, and I was also very aware that the longer I am away, the harder it is to come back.
Yeah.
So, you take that one day off, and I don't want to. It's not I don't see me and the conditions I live with as a competition, but in another way I do, because
it's like if 2 of us had done our shoulders and we had shoulder recos, and if I don't do the physio and come back to it, my shoulder's gonna be a shit.
Yep.
And then if old mate over there's doing shoulder, he's been doing physio, he's been doing all sorts of stuff, he's been doing his recovery, et cetera, and then he's playing sport. Now I'm shitty at him.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that's not.
Yeah.
He's done the hard yards. He's had to stretch it out. He's had to do this. He's had to do that. You might also have better genes. There is definitely things that make a difference, but if you're doing the work, you're giving yourself the best shot, whether you've got good genes or bad genes.
Yeah.
And you're not going to know if you can fix yourself if you're not having a crack.
So I felt really guilty getting back to work full time when I've got so many mates that don't. And I am the exception. I've realised that. But then you're taking the play, how much work have they done?
Yeah.
And there'd be some people that have done more work, more consistently and better than what I've done. But it comes down to what you said, your genes and just their disposition for one reason or another doesn't allow them to do this sort of thing. So
you've had like a certain mindset, it sounds like, from that time in hospital.
yeah, from the word go.
Even to be able to have some sort of plan that you're making there is pretty unordinary, really, for that sort of setting. So maybe it's that, you've had a driving mindset. You just kind of said you were compartmentalising the day a lot, which, that would very much help. And, something I took from that Resilience Shield program was always a little further. So you're compartmentalising the day and then you're just always going a little bit further through it. So probably a pretty positive combination there.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's I've always had I developed a real fear of trains.
Yeah.
Never went to one single train suicide or anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. Righto, cool. Thanks, brain. Good on you. So when I was off, I grabbed my headphones. I went down to the station, went to Yarraville station, and I was waiting for the Williamstown line train. It is about 2:00 on a Tuesday. There might be 5 people on it at best. And I'm just telling myself, I'm only going to go one stop. I'm just going to go to Seddon. That's all I've got to do. Like anxiety off the charts, kept me clothes on, but anxiety off the charts. Music going, Valium in hand, ready to go. And it was just pushing myself to get on that train because I'm going to have to get used to trains because that's part of life when you live in Melbourne. So and I got on and I just sort of sat there, listened to music, nearly there, cool, get off. I just got to get back on to go back the other way and did that, went home and slept for a couple of hours. But I did that again and again and again. So to get
like
used
your
to
own
it.
exposure therapy.
It's exposure therapy to that. But that didn't carry any triggers for me. I don't know why. What was it about trains? But
Been locked in a box, sort of like a container.
well,
No escape
and it's
route.
not, can't do anything, can't get off. So, but that's that mindset that I have had. But see, even now it's funny. Like my imposter syndrome just kicks in and just goes, fucking stop highlighting yourself, dickhead. What do you think, you're better than everyone? Like, and it's funny how that works. Like I know on one hand, no, I don't think I'm better than anyone, but I know I'm good for me. So it's the complexities of the brain, and when you do live with mental health conditions, this is the continual battle that goes on.
I mean, other people might be scared of trains too. We never know.
There's it is right to make that physical injury link with work covering injuries and that sort of thing. Although I also think about it differently, that if you break an arm, there's a clear pathway to have an X-ray, have it set, follow rehab. Whereas it doesn't seem like any two of us have the same pathway back to recovering from a mental injury. So it's very hard to compare or to know who to follow or what pathway to take.
Yeah. I think with that though, there's the same injury that people have, and it's like with the broken arm or whatever, but the rehab and the recovery is different based off people's dispositions and stuff. So like if you and me both break an arm, that might not bother me, but you might then go, I'm never doing whatever it was that I was doing that led me to break my arm. Like there's people in car crashes, for example. Like I've been in car crashes and it's like, well, that shit happens. That's what happens. But other people are like, nah, never going near that again.
It's probably more that there's no X-ray. Like a diagnosis is so subjective, and you can have very different ones with different treaters. Whereas maybe their pathway from the X-ray might be different, but it's pretty hard to debate like what that photo shows has happened to your arm.
But like for example, recovery time. For example, I split my fingers open and did. I just cut my stitches out, and then I was just like, yeah, that's cool. I'm just doing rehab. But I could see the bones and stuff out of it. Other people are like, I'm never playing that sport again. And it's like, well, I'm back at work and doing whatever. Same as like people that break legs. Some people have broken legs that have got complications, and they do whatever else it is. But it's funny that some people heal faster in their bones. Some people heal faster with their tendons are better at doing it, and whatever else it is. And then other people just don't even bother doing rehab, and they get fine. Like that. And you're just like, what? How's that work? And other people do all the rehab and then they play their next game and bang their shoulders out again. It's weird that you can have the same sort of injuries. Some people can put in a lot of effort. Some people can do stuff all, and people just heal different. Yeah,
it's I snapped when you said snap tendon, clean snap in between the one was sitting down here and you can put it back here. And that, like the hand specialist, which was entirely weird, this tiny little ultrasound, give me a massage. It all knitted back together. She goes, I am amazed that you've got full use of that. Like, it's extraordinary.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I didn't think anything of it. I'm going, all right, sweet, no worries. Away we go.
Yeah.
So we just recover differently.
I wanted to ask as well, you know, you had a long policing career. I've only been in sort of one generation. It's very hard to know, you know, hear these like the good old days and all that sort of thing. But, you know, is this sort of this mental health thing seems to be emerging? Is it that we've accepted it more? Were people more resilient 20 years ago, or did they bottle it up and it broke them harder later? Like, do you have a perspective on that? You know, it's an individual perspective, but what do you think on that side of things?
Mike's just like all of the above.
So for me, we are very reflective society. And like in 2003, when my triggering event, we had a psych unit, we had a wellbeing unit, but how much were they used? Probably not a great deal. But now they get used a great deal because like there was, and this is going back probably 12 months, a mate of mine works at the academy and she was saying that a bunch of recruits graduated and then immediately got onto the psych unit, wellbeing unit, and started seeing a psych. And I've gone, why would they do that? They said, because if the time comes...
You're like, they're not even broken yet.
Yeah.
Who do these people think they are?
But if the time comes that we need to see a psych, then we have already established a relationship with that psych. I've gone...
Yeah,
it's also not.
Then
weird
I wonder,
for your
are they
office.
default setting themselves up that's, you know,
well,
they're
it's an
gonna end up
interesting
in
which
that
way
pathway.
you think of it.
Yeah.
I like what they did because the one thing that I hate seeing a new psych because then I've got to start from the start and I've got to talk all about it. I've got to go through the whole story again. So, and then like going through exposure therapy with Paige, she was in internal Vic Pole psych. I think we had 3 sessions where we were just establishing relationship and me building trust in her because she's going to wig the fuckers out of me when I start talking about the incidents. You've got to have an element of trust there. So if you've already got that relationship built, then that can happen a lot quicker, which is really good. But then you get people, and like with society, like Tom Boyd, walks away from $1 million contract because playing league footy wasn't good for his mental health. Brilliant leadership. Outstanding. Put himself first before that. So we're getting better at it, certainly, but there are still elements in society that think if you show any sign of mental illness or injury that you are weak.
And to another thing would be like if I've never seen a psych and then I go and see a psych, people are like, oh shit, what's going on?
Yeah.
Whereas if you've been seeing a psych since you left and you're like, oh, I do a check-in every month and I speak to a psych, people are just like, oh, that's just what they do.
Cool.
Yeah.
No worries.
Whereas if you're like, oh, Berso's been to see a psych 3 times this week, you're like, he's not. Can we work with him? Is he about to blow up? Is he going to go postal at the office? Like, what's happening?
So no, just going in to check in.
Yeah.
All good.
So I'm not against that. Yeah, I mean, I spoke to bosses a couple of times about doing stuff like, why don't we make it any critical incident you go to, it's an automatic thing that you go see a psych, and then, I mean, that had pros and cons on it. But I was just, for the stigma, I was like, well, if it's just standard practice that you go there and it's like you can sit there and just say nothing, like in all the cop shows when they're like, I'm here for mandatory training. Like, and that would have been me. But the thing was, I would have been there and been like, yeah, cool, I'm happy to just sit here and talk footy or whatever else it is. Yeah. But if it meant somebody else was going to go, that then went, you know what, I'm having a drama. Yeah. I was like, then I thought it was worth me losing an hour to something I wasn't really all about. But
I've asked that question, and apparently the research shows that that's not effective.
Okay.
And like I even if the research is not effective for the person who was affected by the incident, but exactly as you just said, you're taking the stigma out of it.
It's cultural change.
It's a cultural change thing, which is, you know, we are culturally changing. Yeah. We're moving with the times, with society, but it's also generational. It's going to take a long, long time. Like my kids are now 17, nearly 16. They're growing up with it. I mean, they've grown up with me. They were 4 and 5 when I dropped my coat. So they're well aware of it, but their generation is really...
Yeah, so I wonder, like, is this... it's all more acceptable and there's a lot more services now, but then, you know, are we creating less resilient people? Are we less resilient cultures? Or is it just populations are growing. I really struggle to figure out why we have all these services and acceptance, but we still have all of us, falling ill to it as well.
It's a hard one because then you look at the way the world is now. A lot more people have got a say in things, which is a good thing, but then a lot of people have got a say in things, which is all equally a bad thing. Now, I'm of the firm opinion that the vast majority of the population gets to live a nice, quiet, peaceful life because there's people on this earth willing to do violent things.
Yep.
To keep that peace for those people. Now, if you don't like that happening, well, you can't whinge because people go overseas and go to foreign lands and patrol around Melbourne CBD and in the suburbs at 2 a.m. when it's pissing down rain and freezing cold, looking for bad people to lock up. Well, you really haven't got much of a say against those people. I mean, if they're going out just completely corrupt, it's a different story. But I'm thinking about that. There's an element of leeway here.
Another thing that I find is just what's acceptable and what isn't anymore has changed. So beforehand, we would have gone out and had drinks together afterwards, and you would have vented, you would have let off steam, and you're like, geez, I tell you what, Johnny's been sitting in the corner. He's smashed about 12 beers on his own. And to me, that would have been like, oh, that's a heads up.
Yep.
Johnny's not right. And then you'd go and speak to him, right? Whereas now we don't, VicPol doesn't encourage drinking, and obviously for obvious reasons, but we've lost the social aspect.
Yeah.
And now you really don't know anything about people you work with. So instead, you've got young people now are happy to go and see a psych, or they're happy to go and, talk to a welfare officer or whatever else it is, but they're not. Yeah, but we're not really much of a community as we used to be. Whereas it was like, as a brotherhood where, we bleed blue, we this and that, rah, 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 which is, again, identity. Whereas now people are very quick to go, oh, my trauma is this. Like just the amount of speak that you hear nowadays that is therapy related.
Yeah.
Like, I can't go on Instagram without 15 different things about what's my attachment type, what's my childhood trauma, what's my this and that. Like it is in my face all day, every day. Along with erectile dysfunction. But, like one of them I can agree with more. But it's funny what society is putting on you because it's not really even, especially social media and stuff, that's not there to actually help me. They're trying to sell me a product.
Yes.
They're not there to help me.
Yeah.
But conversations now, it's just like, oh, that's an avoidance type, or that's are you a Sigma male, or are you a this, or are you a that? And you're like, is this the new star signs? Like what is this? And I just find it being so easy now to go and get help and do whatever else it is. People aren't doing anything for themselves anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's the resilience piece that we're speaking of is, like you've got people like Goggins and stuff that are just like, do something hard every day, stay hard, all that sort of stuff. And some people identify with that and they do it. And Cameron Haynes and all these other guys, and people that get around that seem to develop more resilience and are very successful now. Whereas it's almost more accepted now to be trying to out-victim each other. And that's a weird place to be when everybody's a victim and nobody's doing the work.
Yeah.
Our generation's probably unspoken goal would have been to never see a psych, never have to, or never get to there. But
mine's not even unspoken. I've literally said that about 5 times. I said mine's not unspoken. I've literally said it about 5 times.
You're just doing it through a podcast.
Yeah.
But does that mean we got further down the road before we come to grief? And, that's what I wonder for these recruits as well.
Yeah.
Are they we might never know the answer, but it's like, are they setting themselves up that that's an inevitability? It's kind of how I wonder about it. But
I reckon it's a safety net. There could be an element where some of them will think that, but if a recruit come up to me and said, well, a new constable, I'm a sergeant at Melbourne East, comes up and says, I've started seeing psych for the time that I'm going to get diagnosed with post-traumatic stress and things like that, I'd go, dude, you need to resign. Because you've already talked yourself into it.
You submitted to it.
You've already submitted to it. Yes, you are in a first responder agency. You are going to see trauma. It is an intrinsic part of our business. That is our business, is trauma in one way or another. So if you've got that kind of attitude, it's probably not going to be the job for you. But
I had a punter that I worked with on the van, and we went to this job. well, actually, it wasn't even a job. We pulled a car over and he was like searching the car for drugs or whatever it was. And he's like, I've never let it. And I was like, all right, well then off you go. And he did 3 or 4 things that were just not. I was like, I don't know who's been teaching you, but this isn't great. And we got in the car afterwards, and I just said, mate, run me through what your thought process was and why you searched the car. And he couldn't really answer it. And then he's like, I could see him getting upset, and I was like, all right, mate, well then you didn't use gloves, so how are you going to say that, this and that? And then I just asked him a bunch of questions. I was like, mate, on the stand, this is what it's going to be like. And then I hit him a few more things, like you just lost your house, you just did this, you did that. And he was wigging out and freaking out. And I was like, mate, I said, that's not even the fact that he could have had a weapon in the car. And I could just see on him, I was just like, I don't know what the psychs did when they were talking to this bloke, but they obviously didn't ask any real hard questions. And I just said, and I spoke to him, I said, mate, how much do you really want to be here? Because he was an older bloke. I think he was probably 50 or something when he'd started. And I was just like, mate, just run me through, is this just like having a laugh, having a go? I was like, because that's not what this job is. Like, you have to really want to be here. And I think that's a problem that we have with recruiting at the moment is we're just like, oh, you worked at Macca's, you might be good at a cop. And I think we could probably do a little bit more there. But yeah, I spoke to him about it. And I said, mate, do you really want to be here? Because I feel like you have anxiety all the time and you're already freaking out about it. And I was like, and have you been to anything that's been terrible so far? And he was like, no. He goes, but I am freaked out every time I come into work.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, you need to get out.
It's not healthy.
I'm like, you need to leave now before this job breaks you.
Yeah.
And to his credit, about 4 weeks later, he went in and he went to a sergeant. He's like, what's going on? He goes, I don't think I should do this job. And the sergeant went, get out. Yeah. He's like, I will walk you through it today. Yeah. We will get you out of here.
And that's it. You can remain healthy. That's the thing. Like, I think it's a safety net type thing what they're doing. But aside from that, I would have think those young constables, are not filling up on McDonald's because it's half price 3 times a day. Like, they're actually probably bringing in decent lunches or snacks for the van, or they're drinking water. I sat down a couple of weeks ago and I'm thinking, I actually don't remember ever having a water bottle work in the van.
Nah, losers. Especially
It
when
was
you're
a
getting half
bottle of
price
Coke.
Maccas. Yeah.
500 ml Coke.
You need caffeine and sugar. What else do you need in the food groups?
Like, so, and they'll be exercising more and doing things like that. So you are automatically preparing your body for different shifts, for night shift where you're not getting vitamin B. I think it's vitamin B in the sun. You obviously don't get it at night. D. They're doing things to keep themselves healthy, and they're already attuned. They're not, if they go to an incident that they don't vibe with, they don't like it, well, they've already shown, I'm okay going to see a psych. Cool, go there. Because if I had have gone to see a psych, and this is where I liked the day after a traumatic incident, i.e. deceased, you go see a psych, I would have gone in that next day and I would have gone, something I didn't like about it. I probably would have tried to hide it a bit, but there would have been an instant, okay, tell me more about yesterday. And the psych would have got that out of me. And if that had have happened, wouldn't have been sitting here right now, because all of this probably wouldn't have happened to me.
We had best thing that I saw since I was in was actually at Geelong. He's out now, but Jimmy Constance, he organised a day. We had a job where two people had been stabbed. One died, the other one had like a second chest wound. Anyway, he was fine. But he organised a day where everybody that was working that shift came in. We had a big round table. We used the round table upstairs. The psychs came up from Melbourne. I think the super came in as well, but not to, like, he just said, like, obviously thanks for being there, et cetera, et cetera. You acted really well. But he was just there to listen as well. And then the psych just came through and they just talked about the issues that came up. And the issues weren't what they saw or whatever. The issues were we didn't have medical stuff.
Yeah.
And then my issue was medical stuff, because coming from CERT, we actually have training, and I was like, I can fix this, but I didn't have the stuff that could fix it. But other people were like, I didn't even know what to do in the first place. And they were all saying, like, just not having medical training was what set them off, which is funny because as a coffee, you're not thinking that's your thing. Yeah. But realistically, you are the first on so many times. Like, ambos won't go to something if it's still dangerous or whatever else it is. But the things that came up, and then some of them started talking about it, was like it brought up other jobs that I'd been to and stuff like that. And the psychs would just say, this is normal, this is standard, this is what everybody goes through. But the fact that there was like 12 of us there, and then like 3 psychs, the bosses were there, and everybody was on the same page, and it was the most open conversation I've had.
Awesome.
And I was like, this is not the norm.
It's not normal, but imagine
But
if
it should
that was.
be. Yeah. But it was just amazing because the
It's a
psychs.
debrief. It's closing the loop. You know,
Yeah.
it's getting to air out things if you thought, I might not have done that, or we could do that differently.
Yeah.
You know, if we don't close that loop after each incident, that's when things ruminate and they continue in your mind as well.
But it made me remind of like when I was back at Richmond, we didn't have that. But what we did have was we would have training days where you'd go out and you'd get on the piss together.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, we would go training together. You know, but like we had things like that where you'd go out and you would have work parties more often, and you would, you know, whereas now you can't have a work function because you need a risk assessment, you need this and you need that, and you can't just go out and be social and have a yarn.
Yep.
But nobody ever organises a thing to get together again to go and do archery or whatever. And there's no reason you couldn't do that.
Yep.
But I think that's one thing with now that we're so far off. Oh, we don't want to do drinking. We don't want to do any of these sorts of things. People used to go out and have a smoke, and I've never smoked, but they would go out and they would have a smoke, and it was not even the smoking. I don't think it was literally this fact that
it's
you were
social
taking time
connection.
out, and you had a 10-minute time out where you'd go and have a chat.
Yeah.
You know, or you'd go out and you'd have drinks after work on a Friday, and you would have a chat. Which was literally the debriefs that we used to have.
Yeah.
So I get the alcohol part was the negative connotation, but the social aspect of it, I think we've lost.
It's crucial because like one of the first things that drops when you are mentally injured is your social connections, because you don't want to be around people. Social connection is just so critically important. So when you take that away, and like I agree, like when I first got in '96, the alcohol culture was quite healthy.
Was there even drink driving back then?
Jeez. Like in my early 20s, I was all for it.
Yeah.
But then when I went back in Sergeant in the City in 2010, like we finished the night shift, they said, we're just going for a couple of drinks. All right, cool, I'll come along. It was literally 2 drinks and everyone went home.
Yeah.
And I'm like going, well, this has changed. I said, it's good. So to me, that was ideal.
Yeah,
it
that
was
was
like
the
2 or
balance.
3 drinks,
Yep.
done. Not 6, 7, 8 o'clock the next morning rolling in
at work.
home. Yeah. So it's that fine balance and balancing it out, and yeah.
I think that, but that's the thing. It's social drinking. It's not binge drinking. Like
Not binge.
you go somewhere and someone lines up 5 shots. Like that's your heads up.
Yeah.
You know, like that way, and I get it's alcohol. So people are, you know, it's not great that we're doing any drinking, but it was literally the most telling thing is their behavior rather than what they would say sometimes. Whereas other people would have 1 or 2 and just go, oh, mate, you know what? This has been bothering me.
Yeah.
But other times people would be like, let's get on it. And you'd be like, oh, mate, it's Wednesday. Why is old mate so jacked up? Like, what's going on here? And he's just literally trying to forget something that's happened.
Yeah.
But that thing was that opened a conversation. You're like, mate, everyone else is like just reading a book in the corner. Why are you like spring break time?
Yeah.
What's going on here? But yeah, that was a weird. But that was the same. Sergeants used to know like your situation with your kids or your wife, or you know, you knew they had a dog that asked about it. You haven't mentioned your dog for a while. What's going on? Oh, it's passed away. That's why I've been down or whatever. You know, like that. People knew a lot more about each other because we were social. Whereas now it's, you know, I mean, everybody's therapist knows everything about them now, but it's like
Open right up.
yeah, but you're not there 24/7.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else you got for us, Hal?
I thought maybe just to balance out the conversation as well, it's important to highlight, probably for any young members or soldiers or whatever listening, that
here we
you
go.
can very much make it through a whole
Absolutely.
career, and many
100%.
people do. And if you have the right strategies and layers in your life, you keep sports and family and friends and that sort of thing, there's absolutely nothing stopping you from surviving. It's often not even the incidents. You know, now we have these kind of terms, organisational factors and moral injuries. So there's a lot of reasons that happen, but I think what I've learned is if I'd had the right systems in place or I'd maintained them, then I would have, you know, survived personally a lot better. But plenty of people get through the whole career and, you know, retire comfortably. And
I hold me personally responsible for me.
Yep.
If I had known better, I knew what I was getting into. I knew, although I hate it when people say, well, that's what you signed up for. Oh, I don't dig that comment
The
at
problem
all.
with that is it's so different. Everybody's career is so different. You know, like we had one of our blokes, he was walking to work and somebody jumped and landed in front of him. Like he didn't sign up for that.
Yeah.
And even if you were at work and you'd walk past, you don't sign up for
You
that.
don't sign up for that.
It's like, are you sign up for the chance that something's going to happen?
Yes. So, But yeah, I 100% agree. They can be great careers, both of them. First responder and military, just look after yourself. It's as simple as that.
You can have a police career that never sees anything.
Well,
That's your other thing.
Yeah.
Like there's some dudes that are magnets. Just stay away from that shit magnet, and you should be fine.
Yeah.
And if you are a shit magnet, get out and stop ruining it for everyone else.
True.
No, thanks for coming on today, mate. You speak very candidly and very accurately about what you've been through, which, not everyone's prepared to do. So really appreciate you today and the other podcasts that you've spoken about this on.
Oh, and being the first openly Big Pole member.
Yeah,
I guess we'll find out.
Yep.
We'll see what happens. All right. Anything else?
Done. Appreciate the time.
You don't know.
Yeah. I've said before on numerous occasions, I can stand on top of my roof and yell from the rooftops, and it's, a couple of houses.
You are very loud.
But when you give me an opportunity to come on and give me your time to have a chat, that's, reaches a much greater audience, which reaches a really good message of, you can coexist with these injuries and you can function quite well. So thanks, massive.
Is there, we've got outside the locker room, Matty Morris, Code 9 Foundation, Seattle Seahawks. Is there anything else you want to give a plug or a shout out before you go?
No, that's about it. Tiff Cook, she's a beauty. She runs Roll with the Punches podcast. Again, like I get along with her so well. She's a Tassie bogan.
Jackie Lambie.
She's actually had Jackie on her.
Oh, really?
That was quite funny.
Oh, what a flex.
Yeah, the two Tassie bogan girls chatting away. And I just, I love learning from people who I can understand, and they don't sound all university type sort of people.
Yep.
Just natural learning type of thing. So, all good.
Awesome. All right. And thanks for coming in, Al. Much appreciated, mate. It's always good to have.
You've been doing a really good job. I like hearing your perspective on these things. So.
Right on. See you again.
Or anyone else will quit, and you're not going to stop there. So
Just do it. What's the worst that's going to happen? Just do it. Simple.